We've got lifeguards, DIY crosswalks, and an exclusive interview with a worker trying to unionize. Today on Good Work. Hello, workers of the world, and welcome to Good Work, a roundtable discussion about the world of working. Working is a major part of our lives, so we should talk about it. I'm James Mastriani.
I am Matt Newell.
And I'm Jake Lloyd Bacon. And we are not journalists.
Mm-hmm.
Just a friendly episodic reminder.
We're barely comedians.
We are writers, performers, barely. So do with that information what you will.
Basically, we're able to make decent sentence structure. We're able to talk into microphones.
Sometimes
Matt struggles.
I don't know which one's the mic.
How are you guys doing?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Doing good. I had a very early morning.
Okay.
We had maintenance guys here at the Dragon's Den today at 7 a.m. So for the first time, I think I'm like extra wired for one of these because I've been up now. Like this is midday for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
So last week I got a little hot. I apologize. I got a little heated. We were talking about the prison industrial complex.
Yeah. Okay.
You
didn't get horny.
I had fresh. I mean,
I
subject.
didn't notice anything.
Not about that subject. But listen, we'll see how today goes.
Okay.
Fresh cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Keep it cool.
And excited to dive into the news.
Let's see if we can get Jake hot again.
Well, let's just jump into some chief news.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is a follow-up from a couple weeks ago when we talked about how there was a lifeguard shortage.
Right.
They're missing. No, they're not missing. They're out there. They're just not getting paid enough. So the city bumps the lifeguard pay. The city and the district council 37 negotiated temporary pay raises. Pay raises and established an easier swim test to address severe staffing shortages at city beaches and pools. The starting pay for lifeguards will increase from $16 an hour to $19.46, which is the pay rate for lifeguards who have been on the job for 3 years. Okay, I see. So they just bumped everybody up 3 years. They fast-forwarded people's life. The raise will be in effect only for this summer, okay? So next summer, all bets are off. Nothing.
Right.
Lifeguards who remain on the job until September will receive a $1,000 retention bonus.
Nice.
How nice is that?
I like half of this news.
Yeah.
I like...
The temporary?
No. No. We're paying them more. It's we're lowering our standards.
If
That's
any
the problem.
job, listen to the name. They guard your life. They're the lifeguards. Give them a little bit more money. What is more important to be guarded?
That's actually it's a cool name.
It is a cool name.
Just straight. It's very literal. Just lifeguard. We guard your life.
This is something here. Last month, the Parks Department announced that several swim programs at city pools would be canceled. Although the city's 53 pools open on June 28th, swimmers across the city have been disappointed by pools unexpectedly closing or operating with shorter hours. Did they just close mid-swim? We're shutting it down?
Some guy at a
out of the pool.
Yeah.
We're closed.
What?
Everybody out of the pool.
Marco.
Yeah. Nope. Don't search for him.
So and then this is a quote from Mayor Eric Adams that said, with this influx of mini pool guards, we will be able to very quickly open all of our mini pools. What the hell does that mean? What is a mini pool? An essential cooling center for young New Yorkers. Is it like a tiny pool?
I think it's not. I mean, I wouldn't say a tiny pool, but I think it's not like one of the like community center Olympic swimming pool. It's
the
not
lifeguards are normal sized.
I believe they use regular
normal size. That's offensive.
Right. That is very offensive.
Yeah, they're just not mini people.
No, they're not Smurfs.
Okay, can you say Smurfs?
I think you can literally say it in place of anything. I think that's the rule of Smurfs.
Oh. Go Smurf yourself, Jake.
See it?
It does work.
Did you never watch? No, did you never watch a Smurfs list? Not to get.
I did watch a Smurfs. I did watch.
That was their whole thing.
They were 3 apples high. I know exactly.
Okay.
Gargamel wanted them to turn into gold. He was an alchemist.
There
I know
you
all
go.
about the Smurfs.
Great.
Azrael.
Right. Listen, I'm just saying you didn't seem to know that they use Smurf for every other word.
I knew it. I was just, explaining it for the audience.
Damn.
Um,
Smurf purist.
So yeah, hopefully these lifeguards. I'm a Smurf purist.
Yeah.
I'm a Smurfist.
I just thought of another that this is totally tangential, but I was just thinking of other names they could have named lifeguards. Because lifeguard is
It's a
cool
pretty
name.
broad.
Right.
It is.
It could feel a lot of jobs
Yeah.
could be called lifeguards.
But how do we feel about water bouncer?
Water bouncer.
They don't kick you out. I mean, they're saving people.
They're
though.
saying okay,
They're
fair.
bouncing the water from your lungs.
Yeah,
yeah. That's also. But they're also
Okay.
looking out for sharks.
Right.
That's
So
true.
they're water bouncer.
Water bouncer is nice.
I'm just brainstorming. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Throw
Another
us
name
off
was for a bouncer is a cooler, like Dalton from Roadhouse.
yeah.
So a water cooler.
Water cooler. Yeah,
Would
that's
work,
a
right?
cool name. Yeah,
I'm a
I
water
like that.
cooler.
Well, also from the chief, is the publishing company HarperCollins.
Heard of it?
The New York City workers are calling for a one-day strike. There's 250 union employees. That includes editorial, sales, publicity, design, legal, marketing departments. Are authorizing a July 20th work stoppage if they don't make progress on negotiations for a new contract. The workers are seeking better pay, improved family leave benefits. Really, like this is a huge thing, I think, that is starting to become more and more a part of the American kind of culture of working, because I think Americans are looking over at all the time that moms and dads get off over in like Europe,
Right.
and the maternity
The time
leave, paternity leave, like, and so I think like benefits involving family leave is becoming more and more, which is great. Like, you shouldn't just have to like shit out a kid and show up to your shift
Not how it
in
works,
3
James.
days.
I've explained this before. They don't shit out. They're not shitting out kids.
I don't want to hear about. I don't need another reproduction lecture from you. So they did a petition internally. There was some tension in with management, and 90% of the workers signed the petition.
Love it.
Wow.
Which is great, and the management just did not offer anything meaningful in terms of the new proposals. So they're going to do a work stoppage. It looks like on July 20th. I guess that means on July 20th, to be in solidarity, don't read any books by HarperCollins Publishing.
Or don't buy any books.
Or don't buy any. Don't buy any.
You can
Wink,
read-
wink, wink, wink.
If you already have one.
Take them.
Oh, that's not. I did not.
That's what he
condone.
said. Jake
Yeah.
Lloyd Bacon.
Steal.
Just steal. He's a book
Yep.
stealer.
He's a book thief.
Listen, if there was a way to steal them from Amazon, I might not. I might turn the other cheek. But
Yeah, that's fair.
You just.
I wonder how much money that one day will cost them. It's got to be pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's a good question.
So
I don't
what
know.
is stopping? Is it just the publishing of books? Is the like what like
I would guess that if for one day they can't do marketing, they can't do sales, they can't do
Customer outreach. Like,
Yeah.
this covers
Right.
so many departments.
Yeah.
That there's probably distribution. There's probably for all we know, this is like in-house
someone who writes
maintenance.
all the numbers on the pages?
Oh, the numberer.
The number.
Yeah. The number guard, they call him.
Honestly, I have no idea what goes on at a publishing.
Clearly.
I have no idea what's happening.
I don't either. Yeah.
Jake seems to.
Yeah. Book binding, maybe? Do they do a lot of
Do they still use human leather? Human flesh?
Human flesh. How gross.
Necronomicon.
But yeah, and I think this is awesome. And
Yeah.
that's the beautiful thing
Also,
about work stoppage.
Did they record and have the record profits? Did you say that?
Oh no, I
Yeah,
didn't.
that's it's always the company records record profits the previous year,
Right.
That they don't. It's always that when they don't
Always.
want to have.
Oh, yeah, for 2021.
Yeah.
It's like we're richer than we ever been. We don't want to share.
Yeah. It's like the current inflation thing too. It's like, we're being told like inflation currently 9.1% is all about like the supply chain's been interrupted. And I'm sure that's an element of it, but also every major corporation is having record after record profits.
Right.
And it's like, how are we supposed to believe you?
Right.
Why would we believe you?
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, our economy is doing so bad, except so many people are making so much money right now.
So much money.
Right,
Yeah.
I do love this is my favorite, and it's my favorite because it's in literally every single article by every newspaper. This one again comes from the chief who's reporting on this. Quote, the company did not reply to a request for comment on negotiations or the prospect of strike. There's never a comment. No company has ever responded to a journalist and been like, let's give you our side of things.
Totally.
Because they know it's a lose-lose situation.
Okay. Another news. I want to talk. I just want to give a shout out to this subreddit where I get it's our anti-work.
Yeah.
James, you turned me on to this.
Great subreddit.
You said it's the fastest growing subreddit in currently
on Reddit.
Well,
it has been for a while. Yeah, it's up to like 2.1 million. Looking at it here, 2.1 million followers.
And you said this is r/anti-work?
Yeah,
r/anti-work. Yes,
okay,
that's right.
Kind of the opposite of good work. But a lot of similar sentiments.
Yeah. The name itself, I guess, is the opposite.
Right,
Anti-work is good work, though. I think I'm against.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Well, I just saw this. This was a post that made me laugh and also sad. This is a cafe looking for volunteers as money is tight. This is from Hawkins Cleanup. This is from 1 day ago. Someone posted this company. Would anyone out there be interested in volunteering at Redacted in some regard? Money is often in short supply given our high rent, but as we move to open the second spot, we may need occasional assistance with the one in town. We'll obviously be fed, watered, like a horse. Fed, watered, and have your transport covered. And when our finances balance out, then we'd be able to pay for ongoing shifts. Even a day every once in a while would be great. This is the audacity. Training will be provided, but mainly talking FOH, which is front of house, and maybe KP duties, kitchen prep, I think. No pressure, just putting it out there.
No pressure.
No pressure.
This is a business?
We would love to pay someone no fuss, but we can't even pay ourselves much at all.
It was supposed to be an @, maybe?
Yeah. LOL, that's the context. Are you kidding? Are you out of your mind?
Here's an idea.
Don't open it.
Yeah, don't get a second spot.
Don't get a second spot.
You can't pay. This is the whole thing too with
where is this? This is insane.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out more here. The original poster wrote was it's a cafe looking for volunteers.
Yes, which is insane.
And yeah, there's no like original source here. But
I can't verify this. I just pulled it off Reddit. So
I mean, absurd.
It's absurd.
If even if it's like, all right, look, small business, like I get it, and it's it's obviously not Amazon. It's not these huge companies, but like,
slow down.
You have to be able to pay people.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are you doing?
What do you think they're doing?
Yeah.
Where do you think do you think they're just walking around looking to not make money? And do you think they just are they just independently wealthy? It's crazy. It almost makes me feel like it's not real.
I mean, I feel like we see this stuff a lot.
Yeah.
And
yes.
It's gotten to the point where it has become questionable because it always does well on social media and people are always desperate for social media clicks.
Yes.
The fact that there's no original post or like calling out the name of the cafe is a little suspect. But also again, like we've seen
that. I've seen that in real life though. I've seen that kind of thing of like people wanting cheap labor or and posting and like, hey, we're a small mom and pop shop.
If you're going to volunteer your time, why would you do it at for free at a small business cafe as opposed to like
a place where you can move up or I guess.
Oh, I want to do this really quick. Also from Reddit, just on the unions subreddit. I just want to give a shout out here to Tyson Foods in Holcomb, Kansas. They have an ongoing strike for unfairness and unequal rights. And so just, shouting them out, giving them solidarity, raising awareness by kind of putting it out there. I also just love all the comments. It's such good vibes. Like the comments on are just like other union officials or other union members chiming in, like rank and file, saying solidarity from UA Local 350. Solidarity, fight the power. I love that class consciousness shit.
Yeah, we gotta support each other.
Yeah. So this is so again,
you said that they're actively on strike.
They are actively on an ongoing strike. They're picketing. And it's in Holcomb, Kansas, and Tyson Foods. not a great reputation. Not
No.
a great reputation.
Big company.
Yeah, huge company, and
Yeah.
they definitely they've had issues with labor in the past for sure. So good luck, guys. Good luck.
I want to talk about. I'm going to do a shout out too. I'm going to give.
I
a
didn't
shout out
realize
to
this was a new segment we were doing.
This is
Do
a
I have
shout-out.
to make another stinger for this?
Yeah.
Another
you have to
musical
make
stinger?
another
The
stinger,
shout out
shout-out.
stinger.
This is a group that I just learned about. It's called the Crosswalk Collective in Los Angeles. They go to very dangerous intersections, and they first petition to the city to get a crosswalk put in. Once the city inevitably ignores them,
Right.
because the city does that, they paint it themselves.
They just paint it in a crosswalk?
And they have a how-to on their site, how to paint your own crosswalk, and they give you the cost. And they're like, and there's several of them in Los Angeles that they have painted, like very dangerous intersections that they've, and then now the city is like has unpainted some of them.
Sure, like they just paint black or they
But
paint
why unpaint it?
Why? Here's my question. And all right, I'll play devil's advocate.
No,
here.
don't. Okay.
All right, here's the mayor
Doesn't
of
a
Los Angeles.
crosswalk generally accompany a yield or a stop sign? Because the pedestrian
Because
might
they're gonna-
think they have the right of way.
They're going to cross anyway. They do have the right
Right.
of way.
But I guess what I'm saying is they're going to assume that cars will stop and cars might be
Well, they're not stopping anyway. And if they see these white
right.
reflective paint
Okay.
and they see, I think
Maybe give some cars a heads up that people are going to be walking here.
yeah.
That's incredible. What's the name of this organization?
The Crosswalk Collective. They're very secretive. NPR did a piece on them. Let's see here. When did this come out? Oh, a few months ago. But they set up a GoFundMe because the city has wrote them a bunch of tickets.
Sure, of course.
But they're also pretty mysterious. We don't know
Oh.
who started it. It's a collective, so there's not.
right.
It's the Borg.
Yeah.
Right.
There's
sure.
not one person like
There's a hive mind.
It's a hive mind. That's right. That's the word I was
I mean,
thinking of.
it's in a way, it's the most useful of street art.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
That's funny, yeah.
I respect street art.
Yeah,
I
me too.
understand the culture of it and why people like it. I don't get it. But I do feel like if you're gonna be a street artist, where's the Banksy crosswalks? That's what I want.
Yeah. No, we don't want crosswalks with shadows of little girls holding bombs or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, sure.
It was
Little kids with gas masks.
Yeah.
But no, I dig it. Good for them.
It's
Crosswalk
cool.
Collective.
Yeah, you got to do it. They're not going to help you do it yourself.
Yeah. It's like that from the Avengers. What's that bad guy's name? Fine.
Oh, that narrows it down.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thanos.
Thanos.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, really? You get
I was going to list a few of them.
It was that because he does that
gonna
thing
nerd-
where it's like, fine, I'll do it myself.
Oh, all right. That was a
Okay.
deep pull, James.
Yeah.
Real deep.
It was.
And not that it's a rare character
It's a
or
real small,
major
like
franchise.
an indie movie. You just
But-
pulled that.
but referencing a single thing that you said,
And that isn't-
nothing to do with crosswalks.
Yeah.
Yes. But also, if you're going to quote, it's not like with great power there comes great responsibility or something like that, or what's up in the sky, it's a bird to plane.
In fairness, that of Marvel, how good of a Marvel character would that be if I'm a superhero who just goes around painting crosswalks and where is the superhero who just like repairs crap around? He has no powers.
Oh, you know what he's doing? He's dressed up like a bat and beating the crap out of thieves instead of using his money.
We're doing this all over again.
They should call him the bureaucrat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the bureaucrat.
I'm the bureaucrat.
Well,
Yeah.
is there anything else?
Nope. That's it. That's it for all my information.
Thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Good Work is brought to you by The Chief, a New York City-based newspaper that has long focused on municipal government, civil servants, and the important issues affecting New York State and federal employees.
Recently, under new ownership, they have expanded to cover issues of broad concern to all working people in the private and public sectors, as well as in the ever-growing gig economy, not just in New York, but nationwide.
The Chief believes that labor needs its own paper, and they are proud to fill that need. So visit thechiefleader.com, where you can subscribe for as little as $2.75 a month. Chiefleader.com. Check it out. All right, so every now and then, considering this is a show about the workforce, we want to speak to the workforce. We want to talk to people that are on the front lines. And this week, I had the pleasure of talking to Cheryl Jones. Cheryl is a fellow podcaster, the host of a podcast called Movies Made Me, and a movie fanatic, which led her to her job as a visitor experience associate at the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures. The museum's workforce is actively trying to unionize in response to unsatisfactory working conditions and the company's unwillingness to properly hear their complaints. And so Cheryl was kind enough to share her story with us, as well as her perspective on the museum's somewhat ironic reaction to all of these union rumblings. So let's check out this chat I had with one Cheryl Jones. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Jake.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Good Work.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
So a little bit about the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures itself.
Mm-hmm.
It is a 300,000 square foot museum located at the intersection of Wilshire Boulevard and Fairfax Avenue in Hollywood.
Yep.
High traffic area. It's built at an estimated cost of $482 million.
Yeah, it's expensive.
It features 50,000 square feet of exhibition space, 2 theaters, an educational studio, a restaurant, and other amenities. Now, general admission is $25.
Correct. Yes.
And I'm assuming there's like a senior.
Yeah, seniors are 19 and kids 17 and under are free.
Got it.
Thanks to they trained us on this. Thanks to an endowment, I guess, from the George Lucas Family Foundation in honor of Sid Gaines.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yes.
In addition to that, though, there is the Oscars experience and access to that interactive simulation, which enables visitors to feel as if they're walking on stage at the Dolby Theater to accept an Oscar of their own. That costs an additional $15 a la carte.
Correct. Yes.
So do you know how many people work at the museum?
Gosh, no, I actually don't.
You know?
That's a really good question.
If you had to guess
overall, gosh, I hadn't even really thought about it. Our numbers vary wildly. Right now, we're at a low point.
Okay.
But we are about to bring in like 11 or 12 new people.
Are we talking 100 people, or are we talking 50?
No, less. No, maybe 50 or so.
Okay.
I think. Yeah,
right.
for our department. Yeah,
and you
for
said that
overall a few hundred, I would say, at the museum. Yeah.
Okay, and you said that you work in visitor experience.
We handle the check-in desk, all the ticketing there, the check-in, everything. We are the gallery attendants and guest engagement in the galleries. So we're simultaneously keeping an eye on things, enforcing gallery rules, and engaging.
So can you tell me a little bit about your experience working there and the conditions that may have led the workers to want to unionize?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, and I'm going to state clearly, everything I say here today is my personal opinion. So no one has approved me talking about this. I'm not speaking on behalf of the union or the museum or my coworkers. So this is just my opinion on everything. But for me, coming into the museum, I am a film fan, and I studied film when I was in college, and so as well as history for my master's degree. So those both kind of fit in this museum. And the person, one of the 2 people I interviewed with, who was the department manager at the time, was a guy who came from Disney. He was a VIP tour guide, so he was super Disney. And that really appealed to me, being a former Disney person myself. And what they said was, we have this really unique opportunity at this museum. We're not open yet, and we have this opportunity to build this department into what we want it to be, into what it can be. And so they wanted all of us to work together to come up with that. And they said, curatorial is open to hearing your feedback, and everybody's open to your feedback, and they want to hear what you think, and blah, blah, blah. And it sounded great. It was a fantastic opportunity, and I was super excited about it. Like I was at a point in my life right then that I'd done a lot of therapy, and I was feeling really positive about life and about everything. And here's this great opportunity. So that's how I came into it. That's how a lot of us came into it.
On a personal level, I do recall the joy when you did get this job.
Yes.
And I don't think even I realized that you were part of the launch. You were.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was in the first group of what we call VEAs, Visitor Experience Associates, who was brought in There was another group brought in the week after us, and then, they added more as we went. But we were the very first group to come in and train, and we started a month before the museum opened. I started August 30th. The museum opened September 30th of just last year. And so that's how I came into it, expecting this to be this really great thing. And I think that the two people, the manager and the director of the department, I think were very genuine in what they were saying, but I think there were forces above them that over time prevented them, they just had their hands tied because there was, and I'm not going to name names or positions, but there are, higher level people at the museum, one of whom comes from another institution and who very much, has flat out stated to us that they want to do things here the way they did things there. And it's a very different, that was an art museum. And so I think that's kind of what they've been trying to make this as sort of an art museum, which in my opinion, it's a pop culture museum, but that's a whole nother subject.
Sure.
So as we went on, and I was super excited, there was a particular room in the Miyazaki exhibition, and I worked that room during our big gala event and talked with a handful of Chris Hardwick and Lydia Hurst came through, and I chatted with them. Cody Smith McPhee, who I didn't know who he was, and now was an Oscar nominee. I had a really lovely little chat with him in there because I loved this particular room.
Right.
And there were just all of these really great images on the wall that I thought were really great to interact with guests on and just talk about how beautiful and amazing these things were. And I even stated to everyone, I want to work in this room every day. Like this, I want this to be my thing.
Sure.
And I felt that way all the way through when we opened. And then not too long after we opened, maybe a month or two, I had a day in Miyazaki where I started in what we called the tree room, which was the last room. And it's a very dark room. Yeah. And then, so I was in there through my first break. So, 2.5 hours, something like that. And then I moved into that room that I loved that we called the sky room because there was a thing where you could lay on the grass, this fake grass thing, and look up at the fake sky. And it was fun. Everybody liked it. And while I was in that room, I had the biggest anxiety attack I've ever had in my life. And to the point that I had to step over to the other person in the room and say, I need to leave this exhibition for a bit. And I said, I don't feel good. And he was like, fine, do what you need to do. And I went outside and I stared out the window for a while. We have what we call the spine, the lobbies. We have it's floor to ceiling windows through there. And I looked out the window for a while just because I felt like I need light. I need daylight on me. Yes. And then, so I did that for a few minutes and I couldn't stop this anxiety attack. And so I went into the restroom there, which was for the visitors and everything. And I closed myself in a stall and I just cried for a bit and kind of tried to just get myself under control before going back in and finishing the day in that exhibition. But that was where I really started to realize, and I talked with the management about this. They, in fact, pulled me into a meeting specifically to talk about it. That I said the spaces we're working in are torture chambers because we're working in these, like this is literally how you torture people. You put them in dark rooms, and a lot of the rooms we work in are very dark because you're in places where there's video showing or where there are costumes that can't have a lot of light on them or they'll be destroyed or whatever, And so we're in rooms like that. That room in Miyazaki that I loved, I realized there were multiple screens in that room, like big screens on the wall showing different videos. There's different sounds coming from them.
Sure.
On top of all of this audio and visual input in that exhibition, well, in all the exhibitions, we're watching people to make sure they keep their masks on. And then in that exhibition specifically, there was no photography allowed. And so we had to be on top of people watching. So you're constantly on high alert while you have all this input coming in. And I was like, these galleries are designed to be walked through, not stood in for 2 or 3 hours at a time. And so we really pushed to try to get, and that was the case in all the galleries, really, that there were places like this throughout.
Right.
And
meant
so
to be passed through, not to stand in for extended periods of time.
Right.
And especially if there are like multiple, like you said, different screens. I'm imagining like the end of the dude in Clockwork Orange with his eyes like held open and just like constant screens. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it felt a little bit like that. And, and there are other galleries where there are even more sounds happening all the time. And you can tune a certain amount of it out, but it's still happening, And and so we really pushed to get our rotations to happen more frequently. We ideally wanted them to be, no more than an hour in each position on a floor, because, each floor has multiple galleries, some more than others. The furthest they've gone is an hour and a half rotations. So that's where we're at now. And sometimes that means, beyond those kinds of awful galleries like that, those, with the darkness and too many noises, then there are times where you're out on the spine. And keep in mind, the vast majority of the flooring in this place is concrete.
Yes.
And there are no mats for us to stand on, which you would get in a fast food restaurant or something. Sometimes they'll put mats for you, right? So we don't have any of that. So when you're out in the spine, especially, you're out there on concrete the whole time. It's an hour and a half of talking to people, and you've got, sometimes it's hotter out there because all those windows, whatever. And like, it's better for guest interaction out there, so the time passes faster, but you're still like, I have had issues with my hip and my knees and stuff because of all of these concrete floors.
Right.
And there are only so many pairs of shoes or insoles you can buy till you find, and I'm at a point now where I've got one. I'm like, okay, these generally work. It's not as bad.
But still.
Yeah, if it was an hour rotation, it would still be better, right? So, but they keep saying, oh, we can't, like the leads. We're like, oh, we can't do that. It's too frequent. I'm like, but it's no different than an hour and a half. You're just doing it.
You're just a volleyball team just saying rotate, and everybody's shifting to a new location.
Exactly. And I've had coworkers who came from other museums. One of them came from the Hammer Museum and told me how they did the rotation there, where you literally rotated between floors. So there was way more variety. And I was like, God, that would be amazing. But they're just not willing to put the time or effort into it.
Right.
And so that sort of stuff is what started it. And, when other departments have their own issues going on. And then over the holidays, when COVID got really intense, that became a really big deal in the museum. We were hit really hard by it. It was in the newspaper, that because anytime you've got like more than 5, I think it had to be reported to the county or the state, wherever. And so that news got out. And I think the LA Times and some other places did stories that this was one of the locations that was being hit really hard. And we had a lot of people who went out with COVID. We had a lot of other people who were afraid to come in because it was so prevalent. Yeah. And then there were people like me who still came every single day. And then now, like, we had a town hall meeting recently with some of the higher ups. And one of them spent time in that meeting patting himself on the back for how much he helped out during that time, when he would step into the galleries for maybe half a day and just have some fun in there and say how basically thought how easy it was, because he wasn't doing it the whole day and he wasn't doing it every day for months on end.
So
without giving us any credit, those of us who were there every day, because I brought that up one day and I said, I feel like an idiot for coming to work every day, because what am I getting out of this?
Right.
Other people are getting paid and they're staying home, and he said, well, the higher ups they're noticing who's coming in. They're paying attention. I said, what good is that going to do me? And it has done me none whatsoever.
Right.
So
it's that performance-based perk lie.
Yes. So the thing that's happened more recently is, we did announce that we're going to unionize. This was a thing that started up. It was word of mouth. Hey, we're having some meetings, whatever. Then we publicly announced it back in, I think it was May. And then a week later, they sent out that new job description, and there were 2 big paragraphs to it. And the first paragraph just kept saying security of the items, security of this, security. And we have a little private messaging thing for the union. And I said, it looks to me, because the only union meeting I actually attended talked about that there's a really old law in the books. The only department we can't have unionized with the rest of the museum is security, because this law says security can't be part of it. And so I said, what they're doing here is they are going to try to say we're security and our department can't unionize.
So this is it's a manipulation tactic to invalidate your department's ability,
right?
Or
because we're the biggest department that's part of this. And the other day, maybe a week or two ago, word came out in a meeting with the union rep. What do you think they tried to say? Oh, well, we're not sure that the VEAs can unionize because they serve a security role. And I was livid when I heard that. I was like, you bring the head dogs of this museum down into this lobby where I'm working right now, and I'll have it out with them. Like, I was really angry. And, of course, the union has attorneys who are going to tell them, you can't do that. And the last thing I heard, there was going to be a press conference. There have been a couple press conferences for the union effort. So there was going to be another one, presumably to talk about that, but it was canceled because some kind of progress was made in discussions with the museum. I don't know what that was. I haven't heard any details yet, but we're still sitting out there waiting.
Let me ask you this. Outside of changing your job description to be something that they believe can't be unionized, are there any other tactics the organization has used to detour the decision of union? Any other union busting they're attempting to do?
I can't say with certainty. I heard rumors that there were going to be a couple of meetings with like our supervisors for our department and some of the other departments to discuss ways to dissuade people from wanting to join the union. And I have heard, we all have heard that from some of the people who are a little less sure about it, like, oh, it's going to cost me a lot of money. Oh, it's not going to cover part-timers, and so we have to talk to them and say, look, yeah, it's going to cost money, but we're going to get, one of the things we're going to ask for is a raise out of this. So it's going to kind of offset that. And
so outside of those other cases, do you feel like there's a sense of full solidarity or is there apprehension amongst the workers?
No, I think there's a really good sense of solidarity. I know we have, obviously when we announced we have, majority approval for it amongst staff that, the majority of us want this. We all immediately went out once we announced, we all signed our union cards. Like, we have the numbers to do this and people are solid and ready to go. We're wearing our union buttons while we're working because, we can do that. Great. They can't tell us not to. But yeah, no, we definitely have, even among the other departments. And, I've talked with curators. The very first meeting I went to, there was a curator I spoke with who has worked with the museum quite a long time, for years before it opened. And some of the stories he told me were just, I was horrified by the way he'd been treated in the past and the things he had to do to have action taken on that by the academy. And that's the thing is with this union effort, we're all like, we all just keep sitting here because the museum can voluntarily recognize this union, but instead at this point, they've chosen to work against it and to not recognize it. And we all stand here and say, we are literally working in a building that celebrates an industry that is highly unionized.
Absolutely.
And we have a tiny little gallery at the end of our second floor about documentaries. And one of the subject matter things that it looks at a handful of subjects, and one of them is workers' movements. And we walk out of that room and there's a screen we look right at as we walk out. And there's a guy in there all the time who's saying sometimes you just have to be Sally Field, and he's talking about unionizing and he's talking about being Norma Ray. And we're like, are you kidding me with this? That this organization, it's not just the museum, it's the academy. The academy owns this museum. We are academy employees. We're the museum, but we're the academy. And that they don't want to recognize this union when they celebrate unions. And I can't fathom. And
There's
in this
irony.
modern
There's
world,
definitely an irony.
Yes. It's like, and we talk about that all the time. Like, how does this make sense?
So as of right now, you feel like progress is being made and that this will likely end up happening. You will be able to unionize. You're feeling positive?
Even if they don't voluntarily recognize us, I believe that when the time comes that we have an actual election for it, that it will pass and we will unionize.
Got it.
And they're just going to have to deal with it.
I'm really happy to hear that. All right, so I have two final questions before we go here. First question is what would you say to somebody listening to this who says, you know what, to be honest with you, it sounds like you had kind of a cush job. It sounds like you just sort of stand around all day and you get to be at a museum. How hard could this possibly be? What would you say to somebody listening who might be thinking that?
I'd say come try it for a while because, on a day, if you come in for a visit for one day and you're like, yeah, these galleries are fine, and I would understand everybody saying that. But try coming here and doing this full time, 8 hours a day, standing in these galleries for 10 months there now.
Wow.
So try it for that length of time. Try standing on concrete for 10 months, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, 9 with your lunch hour, and see how you feel about it.
I love that. Thank you. And my last question is, will you please promise to email or call us with your I quit story if and or when you do end up quitting in some sort of crazy and fun way?
Oh my God, I cannot wait. I want this union to go through for the people who come after me more than for me. I have a vision for the future. So yes, I guarantee I will tell you.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. We really appreciate your time.
I'm very glad to talk with you.
Jake, first I want to say you're a real Barbara Walters.
Oh, well,
what a great interview.
Yeah.
That sounded very professional.
She's she's again,
sounds great.
An experienced podcaster
Yeah.
herself. And I think, as you could hear, like, passionate about this. There is something really fascinating, heartbreaking about her story, specifically about being sold a job that doesn't exist. And obviously this interview, we chatted for a while. We tried to make it as concise as possible, but like, she shared with me that when she got this job, she was promised all of these things that never occurred.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you guys are going to be doing all of these fun interactions with the guests. You are going to be giving tours. You're going to be like, essentially that the staff is going to be part of the exhibit.
As a movie fan,
Right.
That's like, what a dream job.
Right.
This is, I get to work in the movies.
Totally.
Like,
Right. Or not even working in the movie, but working in a place that's celebrating
Celebrates
the thing
movies,
that I
yes.
love so very much.
Yeah.
And to know that they essentially, their whole job was just pretty much dwindled down to just being mask police, is really kind of disheartening and concerning. Especially, she's as you heard, she mentioned like, oh, they sold us as like, we're the first team here, like we're opening the thing, so we can make this department whatever we want.
Yeah.
And then not happening.
Yeah.
So that's really sad. And then obviously, working in those conditions in like a dark room with just sensory overload all the time. I mean,
It sounds
I can't imagine.
maddening.
I mean, she had like a legitimate anxiety attack. Like, that's got to be terrifying.
Which is like, I feel like so many workers aren't allowed to be human. And like an anxiety attack, a panic attack is a very real thing, very physical thing. And like, I think something like that, mental health wise or whatever, is
that's
like
a whole,
there's not even room for that, right?
Right.
And in a lot of situations, I feel like even thinking back into some of the jobs that I had, in restaurants and that sort of stuff, and you're really busy. Like, imagine if you had a panic attack. I'm thinking back, like, how would my previous managers have like treated that? And I feel like they would have treated it,
if I
get
can't
over
see I want to see your leg broken.
Yeah.
Like,
Which
that's what I go, oh my God, his leg's broken, send him home.
Yeah.
Right.
But like,
That was
if
sort
it's
of-
internal, they don't.
And my mom used to
Notice
say,
it.
when I was little, if I want to say home, my mom used to say blood or fever. Those are the two things that keep
my
you home.
God.
Blood or fever. If it's not a blood or fever,
Jesus.
Super spreader
So if I
event.
had like a stomach, if I was like, if I like, Mom, my stomach really hurts at this. Are you bleeding? No. You got a fever? No. You going to school.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
But it is sort of that same idea though.
Another thing too that just tangentially that I feel like jobs encourage is smoking, because people would take up smoking so they would get smoke breaks.
Right.
That's how I started.
It's like, just give people normal
Wait,
breaks.
That's how you started smoking?
Absolutely. Yeah. When I used to
Because
work,
you just wanted
I've
an
heard
extra
so
10
many people like that. It's like, I took up smoking just so I could take a break at the
Yeah.
restaurant job or the bar job I have.
Because you knew you got
Because
an
everyone
extra-
else, it's like, oh, everyone's outside smoking right now. I'm working. I want to be in that. Like, I
Interesting.
want these breaks.
Well,
I want
it's
these.
like she
Absolutely.
said with COVID, a ton of people were like, well, we're staying home,
Yeah.
and she's coming into work and not actually getting a reward
Yeah.
for that. Like, but it's like, she's like, I feel like an idiot for coming and doing my job. But
And
that's
also
interesting.
the hypocrisy of all the stuff at the end when she talked about the them celebrating unions and
Right. SAG
Norma
and-
Ray and
SAG,
strike.
IATSE, IATSE, and
You're
SAG.
idiots.
Like literally every single person that is a part of any of those exhibits is in a union. Like there's nobody. There's whether you're in like the Directors Guild, the Writers Guild.
If you're
whether
in the academy, you're in a union.
Right,
One of
exactly.
the three, yeah.
There was something that she did say in passing that I acknowledged, but I didn't quite understand, and I wanted to figure it out. So afterwards, I did a little bit of research. She mentioned this saying where at the end, when there's that documentary, what you're referencing, where there's this documentary exhibit, and there's a quote on the wall that says, "Sometimes you just have to be Sally Field." And I understood the reference, but I didn't understand why she was saying that. It is from a documentary that is being being displayed there, called American Factory, from Oscar-nominated filmmakers Julia Reichart and Stephen Bogner, about the Chinese auto glass maker Fuyeo that reopened the GM plant that closed over a decade ago, which was the subject of their other documentary called The Last Truck.
Yeah.
And there's a scene in that documentary, which, by the way, now immediately going to the watch list. Definitely want to check out this documentary. It's called American Factory.
Yeah.
There's a scene from this documentary where one employee is seen walking through the warehouse holding up a sign calling for the Americans to unionize. And he's met with applause by workers, but then escorted out to the parking lot by security, where he comments to the documentary crew, "Sometimes you just have to be Sally Field," referring to her role in the 1979 film Norma Ray, which I just think it's such a multi-layered thing. And when she mentioned that, I kind of chuckled about it, but that's why. And by the way, now
we got to do some movie. We got to do some movie reviews.
We're gonna have to do some.
Totally.
Some
That'll be a
documentaries.
fun thing. Yeah.
So yeah, both the Last Truck, the closing of the last GM plant, and American Factory are two documentaries that are both represented in this section of the museum that refuses to.
So I'm on their website now. This place, and here I'm a movie fan.
Yeah.
And this place looks like a cool place, but it also looks kind of full of itself a little bit. Like, so I'm on some of the like programs, like or that join the donations page. There's something called a pillar campaign. I'm just gonna
A pillar campaign.
Okay, your support is vital to the story of the Academy Museum. As a member of our community, we invite you to consider making our pillar campaign a part of your legacy. So you can buy a pillar. There's pillars, I guess, in one
Like
section.
actual structure of pillows that hold up.
They're already there, but
Right.
then you just put your name on
Yeah,
them.
no, I've adopted many stars. I'm pretty sure
They're
those
for
are my
$1 million.
stars. Oh.
You can join the. Who are some of the people? Please consider joining Barbra Streisand, Tom Hanks, and Rita Wilson, NBC Universal, Bob Iger, and Willow Bay.
I knew Tom
John
Hanks had
and
one.
Regina Scully.
They didn't need a pillar. They just were donating money.
They all bought. I don't think they get to take these pillars home. I think they just
they get their
it's just
name on
donate
it.
money and they just put their name on it.
They give them a Sharpie and they go, "Here you go, write your name on it."
Yeah.
There's another way to donate. You can become a member, and there's different levels. And I'll just go through a few of these. Just the names are a little. This is called the Constellation Circle.
Okay.
Okay, that alone is
Because movies are filled with stars.
Oh. Cut that out. Cut that out. I don't want that in there. So there are different levels. The constellation tiers. The lowest one is the ambassador, $5,000. Okay. All Constellation Circle supporters get let's see here, receive the following benefits. And then everything after this is all these benefits plus one or two things.
Of course, yeah.
So you get a complimentary admission for two. Not complimentary, it's $5,000. Complimentary exhibition
By the way,
catalog.
admission for two. If you have a family and you've donated $5,000, sorry, leave the kids.
Yeah,
at
the
home.
rest are $25 or whatever. Although she said under 17 gets in.
Sure, but what if I have a college kid? What's
priority tickets for select special programs and film screenings, 4 passes to the museum film screenings, invitations to evening celebrations, members only exhibition previews, recognition in the annual report.
Okay.
15% discount on special programs. 15 is so cheap. 20.
15.
Just give 20 to 25.
15%.
For how much was this again?
5,000.
$5,000.
This is the lowest
Right.
one you can do.
Right, sure, of course.
The ambassador. The next level is there's a few other things. Invitation to members only stuff, 10% discount in the museum store, which is ridiculous. Then the next one is the benefactor. This is $10,000. You get everything above Plus, you get an invitation to the museum's annual director's dinner for
Great.
an extra 5 G's.
Ooh.
Right. That's an expensive
After that,
Get to
guess
meet
the name of it.
deal. What was the second one?
the benefactor.
And the first is ambassador, then
Yes.
the
Oh, gotcha.
benefactor,
Benefactor.
Let
Producer?
me guess. Senator.
the sustainer. Doesn't make any sense.
It's a sustainer.
Sorry,
The
I
sustainer.
just threw out the biggest word I could think of.
Syllable wise. It's the biggest
Senator?
word. Senator. And you still think it means a half horse, half man.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't throw out Propagandolfini as the biggest word.
That's right. He's been throwing that word around like it's real. Sustainer gets everything above, but behind the scene tours of the Debbie Reynolds Conservation Studio. Then the next one is $50,000. That's the sponsor.
Right.
You get a private tour of some other part of the
And-
fucking museum. And then the final one is $100,000, and the name of that is leadership. Not leader.
Leadership.
Leadership.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Sounds like they're just saying
It sounds like
names. I think
You know
they're
what?
just throwing words together.
it sounds like the name of maybe that's the name of the spaceship that they're planning on putting all these people on.
It sounds
rocketing them
culty.
off.
It sounds culty.
And
Well,
the,
here's the
and
thing,
the
though,
benefit with that last one is all the above plus lunch with Academy Museum director Bill Kramer.
I mean,
Fun.
Who is a very sloppy eater
But he
right
doesn't.
here.
But you have to
Yeah.
pay for lunch.
right.
You have to pick
well,
up
you
a
did
tab.
pay for lunch multiple
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is like these, in Los Angeles and Hollywood, like this is. Like you said, it's movie capital of the world, and this is ultimately a building that has been we've been waiting for an Academy Museum in the industry
Yeah.
for years.
Yes.
This was such a big deal. The amount of money that I guarantee this place is just being
That's
handed
that's
to
the
them.
point.
I know.
This is
yeah.
like it's just flush with money,
Flush
and they're
with it.
so cheap with the people who are doing the work.
And
Yeah.
and I want to talk a little bit about what she mentioned about the super shady tactics of changing
Oh,
their
man.
job
to
descriptions
security.
to
Yep.
security because they think that, well, if you're security, if you're part of our security team, then then you can't be a union because of whatever raise. And I'm very happy to hear Cheryl's confidence that the union's lawyers are going to be able to find a way to tell them that's not happening. But it's also insane. I mean, I've been there. Like these people.
Oh, you went to the museum?
Yeah. I've been to the museum,
Is it cool?
and it's a lot of empty space for now. I think
Yeah.
it'll get really good eventually, but for now it is. And by the way, it is a little pretentious now, and it's
Yeah.
and hearing her story, I kind of get it. If she mentioned that like this guy who ran like this hoity art museum previously is trying to just turn it into that. No, this is a museum about movies and pop culture and fun, and like she talked about the Studio Ghibli room. I forget that director's name. Miyazaki, I think. She talked about working in that room, and like
Yeah.
that room was really fun and cool, but it's fleeting, Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm not here to critique the layout of the place, but it's more just
waiting
about
for
like.
the MCU to take it over.
There we
It'll
go.
just be all-
Well, here's the thing though. It's like
yeah.
what I'm trying to say is I've been there. I've seen the visitor experience associates. They're not security. I love Cheryl. She's not security.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I
they're not
would never
stopping
task her
anybody.
with that. Simply
Art thieves.
because you're supposed to be making sure people aren't taking photos or that they're wearing a mask properly. Security that does not make.
Yeah.
And I think it's such shady, underhanded nonsense that, by the way, if all of they're the largest department, these associates, these visitor
Yeah.
experience, if all of a sudden they're security, what departments do you have? Your 90% of your employments
Yeah, it's
are
just a
security.
business
Yeah.
Now you're just
It's
It's
real
the same
shady.
thing with, once Reagan started the whole deregulation, process and brought in neoliberalism, like it gave corporations and companies like so much more power to do things. And we're seeing it now with like companies trying to reclassify jobs as like gigs, right?
Right, yeah.
And it's just another really unethical, I think.
I also don't understand what literally like profit wise rotating them every hour. I didn't understand the like why not just
Right.
it's so much and give her a stool.
Yeah.
How hard is
Give her
this?
something to sit on. Like to stand that long is so.
Especially if, by the way, you're not rotating, which means
You're
the associates can all have a station or
Yeah.
a desk because
Yeah.
they're going to be there for so long anyway.
yeah.
One could make the argument that they shouldn't give them those things if they were being rotated every half hour, because then it's like, well, they're not. There's nobody
Yeah.
there. But still, even then, basic, like you mentioned, like the lack of being able to be a human and also have a job.
Yeah. And one of my favorite questions that you asked in the interview, Jake, and I thought you asked some really good questions, was when you asked her how she would respond to people that might say to her, other workers, like, your job is soft, your job is like, not even that hard. And I think like, going back, if you haven't heard our previous episodes, we talked about class consciousness in the third episode. And I think things like that exist and they get in the way of solidarity.
Absolutely.
Right? It's not our jobs to, or we shouldn't be looking at other workers and being like, well, stop whining, stop, we should be looking at all workers as our allies.
Right.
Know who your enemy is.
You're mad at other people's job because you hate your job.
Yeah.
Or your job, like you're just unhappy with your job.
Or, and I'll do the other side of that, which by the way is very true, but sometimes it's also you understand the stress of your job and you feel like that's more important. And I'll give you this example. My brother is a police officer.
Right.
I am not going to take anything away from his job as a police officer. And I know that he works really hard. He works, at least for like the last like 10 years of his career, he's been working graveyard shifts. He's got 3 kids. Like, that's a lot. I understand the stress that comes with that. I know for a fact that he sees my job in the entertainment industry as this cush, stressless thing.
Everybody has their own stresses.
And like, trying to explain to him, like, there's like, while I'm not going to take away the difficulty of your job, it doesn't mean that a 16-hour day for 7 days a week working on a movie that is running behind schedule and over budget isn't incredibly stressful.
If that were the case, then only one person in the world would have the right to complain.
Exactly.
Whoever has it worse.
Yes.
Everyone else should shut the up.
Right. Yeah.
Because
sure.
that's so, it's like, oh, you know what? It's like the same thing if like you're upset about something. You can be upset about whatever you want. It doesn't mean like, you're upset about that. I lost, my family's dead. Oh, you just lost your wife? Well, you, my fault. Like, I hate, sorry, I keep,
that's
good. But like I hate the comparison of like my job sucks, my job's hard, so your job is so cushion easy.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
it's not.
And so there was a lot of that, which is why I felt it important to mention that, because I do think that
I'm getting horny.
People listening might be like, well, okay, so these people have to stand around a little bit long. That doesn't seem like much. But again, it's like basic human comfort. Like, and again, good pay, safety, equity, and opportunity. If they're getting good paid at the museum, that would be one thing, which I don't believe that they are. I think it's part of the things they're fighting for.
Right.
Maybe there's opportunity. We don't know. Like, one could argue maybe you work there long enough, you can get a different position or whatever.
Yeah.
They definitely don't have any equity. I don't think that they're getting anything out of. They're not, nothing. They're not getting anything back from doing this position. But
they
this
get to direct one movie.
but this is under safety.
Yeah.
This falls under safety.
For sure.
I mean, this is literally.
She had a panic attack and she's standing on concrete for hours and
like
hours.
This falls under that safety category. If you don't have the basic needs of a human to feel safe and to have, if you go home at night and your body doesn't work the right way than it did before your job, the job isn't doing enough to ensure.
Yeah. Let's see. Is anybody try to unionize? Maybe get some of those emails going. Anybody had tried to unionize at a job in the past or been part of starting up a union?
Absolutely.
Goodworkpod@gmail.com.
And the brand new Good Work voice mailbox, which can be found at 929-256-5151.
Does that spell anything fun?
Call. No, we should look. Maybe it does. We'll retroactively
It spells
see.
Good Work.
Right. What if it?
No, it doesn't.
There's enough letters. 7. Anyways, 929-256-5151 is a voicemail box that's open 24 hours a day. You can leave a message up to 3 minutes long if you want to call with stories of your union, if stories of your job, if you want to just complain about your job, if you want to tell us your great I quit stories that way. Obviously, emails are also great because we can read them. But if you call and you leave a great voicemail, it fits with what we're doing here, we'll play it on the air.
Yeah.
We'll make you
If
guys.
you want,
we want to make you guys part of the program. But I look forward to diving more into the reality of how this union may help these workers. James, maybe you could shed some light on that.
Yeah, actually, we're going to be, over the course of the next few episodes, we're going to be talking about unions. We're going to be talking about what they are, a little bit of history, how they work, do they work, and then also talking about how you can start one. So We're gonna be diving into unions. So if you've maybe you're interested in learning a little bit more, and that's the purpose of this whole podcast too. Is like a lot of our news, a lot of our history, a lot of the things that we are told are from the side of capitalists, are from the side of the employer class, right? We've heard this notion for a long time that like the victors get to tell the stories, right? But there's a vast amount of incredible stories out there about workers, about people that are, fighting against the system and trying to organize. And we want to highlight those stories. So we'll be diving into that over the course of the next 3 episodes. We're going to have, another interview with a union member coming up. It's going to be really fun, and we're going to approach it the way we do, with a tone of curiosity, learning about it with you guys. So hopefully you'll listen to the next few episodes and learn a little bit more about unions.
Yeah.
Good work.
Good work, guys. This was fun. For all things Good Work, make sure you're visiting goodworkpod.com. There you can find official merchandise, links to our personal social media accounts, those of us who have them, and our Discord community so you can join the conversation. All that and more is at goodworkpod.com. A little bit about that Discord community. It's completely free. I know a lot of podcasts have Discords that are attached to some sort of paywall. Ours isn't. It's a open forum. It's an open community with a lot of great people there, and lots of different threads and topics and stuff to talk about. So please check out the Discord. Great space. Also, I want to thank Cheryl Jones for joining us today.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Make sure you're checking out her podcast. She does a podcast called Movies Made Me. You can find it on social media at MMMPod, if I'm not mistaken, or just search Movies Made Me. You can find that wherever podcasts are.
And also please make sure that you subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Help us spread that solidarity. Get us some, give us some 5 stars, some, add a 6th if you can. I don't know how that works.
Can you do that?
I think they have to rate it twice. Once 5 and once 1, but then that's going to mess up our algorithm.
Ooh, don't do that. So 10s. 10s only.
Stars. 5 or 10 exclusively.
5 or 10. And of course, check out the Chief at www.thechiefleader.com. Subscribe to the digital copy of the paper. Also follow them on social media at The Chief Leader on Twitter and TikTok, and The Chief News on Instagram.
That'll do it. I look very much forward to learning more about unions in the next couple episodes. We hope you guys do as well.
Good work.
Good work, fellas.
Hang on, cool your jets on this outro song, because we are pleased to announce that between the time of us recording this episode and the time of its release, Cheryl Jones and her coworkers have won. They have received voluntary recognition of their brand new union, the Academy Museum Workers United.
Dragon Wagon.